Once upon a time, I was a waiter at Applebee's who dreamed of being anything other than a waiter at Applebee's. And after wishing on a star and taking out a lot of loans for grad school, I became a teacher. In 2008, in January of 2008, I started teaching 11th and 12th grade English at School of the Future. It's a little public school in Manhattan. I was 22 when I started, but I looked 15. And the kids were 17, but they looked 35. They did not believe that I could possibly be their English teacher, but they liked that my name was Mr. Manley. On the first day of school, I woke up before sunrise and I put on my favorite green tie, which I had pre-knotted the night before. And I got to school extra early so that I could carefully arrange each of the handouts at the front of the room. And then I sat back at my big, beautiful teacher desk and I had a half hour to slowly go over the first day's lesson. And Nora Jones quietly playing the background. And I thought, this is it. I'm an adult now. And then the kids got there and everything just exploded. There were 15 kids sitting at this table over here, and on the other side of the room alone was one guy wearing a dragon t-shirt. Nobody had a pen. There were two girls making out in the doorway. I was like, listen, I support you, but not here. Then my boss walks in and he's like, I'm just going to sit down and observe this class. And I'm like, yes, that sounds like something that would happen in my life at this moment. But I survived my first week of teaching bravely. And then Friday at 6 p.m., the copy machine broke down on me and I burst out crying and called my mom. Because it seemed to me at the time that in order to be a good teacher, you had to be completely focused and 100% self-confident. And those were not the first two adjectives I would have used to describe myself at the time. When I was 22, my number one hobby was staring out of windows forlornly. But if I had done that in the classroom, it would have just been really awkward. Our first unit, we were studying Albert Camus' essay, The Myth of Sisyphus. I taught an existentialism class because I like to keep things cheerful. A little life is meaningless, and then, oh, have a great weekend, everybody. And in The Myth of Sisyphus, the story goes that Sisyphus is condemned by the gods to push a boulder up a hill for eternity. And whenever the boulder gets to the top of the hill, it rolls back down again. And he has to repeat this forever. And Camus' idea is that the pointlessness of this endeavor is representative of the pointlessness of all human action. The Myth of Sisyphus was a lot like what the first few weeks of teaching felt like. Except that instead of getting the boulder to the top of the hill, I would get it like 5 feet, and then a student would be like, we had homework last night? By 3 p.m., I would just be like under the boulder, making a mental list of jobs that I might be better at. Like sad guy in a movie. I would have killed that. And that's how it was every day. Until the due date for our first major essay. I had put everything I had into teaching to this first essay. And I'd been hard on myself those first few weeks, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to see what the kids write. And based on that, I'll be able to judge how I've really been doing as a teacher. That will tell me the truth. And nobody handed it in. Not even the kid in the dragon t-shirt. So going home that day, I'm a little demoralized. was February, but it must have been like a warm day. Because in my memory, the sidewalks were just crowded with people who were talking and laughing, and they're all going out drinking and having a great time. And I'm just heading straight home. And what I was subconsciously wishing for was some kind of a transformation. You know, you pull a sword from the stone, and you're a king. Boom. Someone kisses you and you become human from a frog or a beast. Someone kisses you and you wake up from years of slumber. Someone kisses you and you come back to life. You guys, what I really needed was a kiss, because I was really single at the time. But at night, I'm lying in my bed and I'm looking up at the ceiling, and I am not magically transforming. And I take that to mean that I never will. This is just who I really am. A failure. I know. But the thing about having a job is that no matter how you feel about it the night before, you still have to wake up in the morning and go to it. So that's what I did. And the next day in school was one of those really weird days of teaching where everyone just seems to do their work silently. And I was walking around with a clipboard, supposedly grading their classwork for their grade, but actually I was writing a journal entry to myself. Secret world of Mr. Manley. And what I was writing was, I love these kids so much. Even the assholes. I see someone who's laughing very hard at that. I was like, I care about these kids more than I knew I could care about anyone in my life. And then a few days later, I gave everyone in my class a folded up comic that I'd drawn, stapled on the side of this moment from my day when I had just been overcome with love for them. And I phrased it as like, this is part of the class project we're doing, but really I just wanted to give them a comic. And I kept coming into school every day, and we did a book groups unit where they read books by transcendentalists, a little more uplifting than existentialists. We did a poetry unit that I don't remember anything from, except that at some point I was standing on top of a table shouting Walt Whitman quotes. And I tried very hard to find a book that every kid would love. There was one kid that hated reading, but then I found this Junot Diaz short story that's basically just all about this girl's ass. He likes it. Hey, whatever it takes, you know? And then the due date for the final project came. And I didn't even try to be like, I was like, we're not even going to judge it. I don't even want to look at what these are going to be. And at the time, I was one of those teachers, especially with the final project, that would kind of be like, the traditional essay doesn't suit you. Just do what you feel will show your learning. You know, paint a mural about the book. Write an essay out of flowers. And then the due date came for the final project, and kids handed in the coolest stuff I had ever seen. There was this one girl who did this huge, incredible animation of like the entirety of The Stranger. It was amazing. And there was another girl who made like a flip book of the myth of Sisyphus, where he'd get the rock up to the top of the hill, and then it would go down to the bottom. And you could go back and forth and show it, do it all over. And that afternoon, I'm sitting at my desk, and I've just got all of their projects in front of me. And I'm just thinking, like, how cool is this? They did these in my classroom. And then a couple days later is graduation, and I go to graduation, I'm wearing a shirt and tie, and on my shirt, I wrote the names of every kid in the grade, because I wanted every kid to know that I was celebrating them. And sitting up on stage during the ceremony, it was like one of those moments where you know that something really big is happening inside of you, but you can't quite name it. And then the next day, I'm cleaning up my classroom for the summer, and there's a knock on the door. And I open the door, and it's two girls from class. It's the girl who did the Stranger animation, it's the girl who made the flip book. And we chat for a little while, and then one of them says, I just want to tell you, Mr. Manley, this was one of the best classes I've ever had in my life. And then the other girl said, I love you, Mr. Manley. And I said, I love you guys too. And then I was like, can I tell you guys a secret? I'm actually only 22. And they were like, yeah, we knew that. And I had transformed into somebody new. Not because of some magical moment, not even because I believed that I could, but just by doing it, just by showing up every day, despite my doubts and despite my fears, and continuing to move forward. Thank you, everybody.